It's me. It's your old buddy, Jason Bloom here. I got another great money-making idea.
All right, and Jason, okay, we got a lot of meetings this afternoon. You're usually pretty bankable, so we've given you this time. You go right ahead. What are you pitching to us today?
What is the most legendary, your favorite TV show of the 70s and what?
70s and early 80s?
Yeah, sure.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay, what else?
Mr. Belvedere?
Forget all that. We're doing a television series, a modern update, if you will, a reboot of Fantasy Island. It's going to be so great. We've got so much ready. We've got it written, raring to go.
I don't know, Jason. I mean, I get where you're coming from. There's been some pretty good success with the whole MacGyver and Magnum and Hawaii Five-0, but I think that ship is a ship. Hey, could you get the rights to Love Boat? I mean, people loved that. I mean, it has the word love right in it.
I mean, that's just to throw people off. No one knows what that is.
All right, well,
look, we got Michael Pena as Tattoo.
Well, okay, I can see that because he actually does resemble, Mr. Rourke and Hooray Village as having done something entirely unnatural. But I'm not sure that we can kind of pony up the dough for a series. I mean, it's Blumhouse. I mean, is it going to be scary or spooky or anything? Because, I mean, the original one was kind of Twilight Zone-y to begin with.
I mean, it's going to be a little spookier. I think it's going to be a little spookier.
See, I don't... Look, Jason, we love your movies here at the company. And, you've done very well for us as far as traffic goes. They've done well at the box office, when the box office was a thing. But I really don't think that the company is going to front the money for an entire series. Could you maybe, make it into like just a movie? Maybe we can make a series of movies. Do that, and we could definitely give you the money for that.
A movie. The thing is, we already wrote like 4 episodes. We already got it all mapped out. We got Pena.
Yeah, I do. But you got like 4 different stories.
All written, all ready different to go, characters. Right? Doesn't even really come together.
All right, look, Jason. Look, I've seen you guys do some fantastic stuff with hardly next to nothing. The proverbial chicken salad out of chicken shit, if you will.
Delicious.
Yeah, well... here's what I can do for you. Take those scripts that you got. If you can kind of mash them in together into kind of one big bland lump, and keep Michael Pena. I mean, he's spent that money. You're not getting that money back. You've already paid him. So keep him. What we'll do is we'll amalgamate the Mr. Rourke character and the Hooray Village character. I mean, he already looks like that, as I said before. But we'll do that. We'll make it a movie, and that's what we can do for you. I'm sorry, Jason. That's our final offer that we can do for you here at the company.
Oh, man. Okay. Just let me get my people on the phone here. Just 1 second here. Get me the team behind Truth or Dare. No, not the Madonna one. Yeah, our movie. Thanks.
When I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
Welcome as Fuck 2020 continues.
And that's when the money rolls in.
My name...
I'll say this. Oh. No, I'll say this. I enjoyed this more than the last one, so yeah.
Spoiler alert. Okay, end the podcast.
Spoiler alert.
End it all now. It's over. Pack it in. What were they thinking? My name is Brendan.
And I'm Nathan.
And this is What Were They Thinking? It's a podcast where we talk about bad to at least questionable movies. At the very least. And we're like I said, we're continuing Fuck 2020 month. Usually it's called Recently Regrettable, but I think we could just call it Fuck 2020 because really, guys, fuck 2020. We were talking about movies from last year, not necessarily the worst, but a collection of some of the more questionable titles. And we were talking, of course, about 2000 and I don't know why I'm saying the year. We all know it's
2020.
2020 because fuck 2020. Fantasy Island. And joining us to discuss Fantasy Island, joining us on the boat or the helicopter, whichever route you decide.
The plane, boss. The plane.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if Tattoo was right about that. We'll discuss.
Dipshit, that was the whole shtick of the original show. That's the only way you got the Fantasy Island was by the plane. The plane.
Well, we're going to debate it then. Because I think Tattoo was wrong.
Like, normally, you're a master of that sort of thing, but there's not up for debate. I was there to see it on television when it happened, youngling.
No, I watched a different cut. I watched the European cut of every episode before this podcast.
Oh, piss off with your fake news and your alternative facts. He's done too.
Stop the count. Count all the votes. Joining us.
Girls, calm down.
Oh.
You are here on Fantasy Podcast.
Oh no, Ricardo Montalban is here. I don't know.
With his fine Corinthian leather.
Podcast, boss, the podcast.
I hate to see a couple argue over really stupid things like the plain catchphrases of 70s TV shows.
So joining us, as you can hear, for making their 462nd appearance.
I only thought it was their 420th.
Oh, from Utah, ladies and gentlemen, Steve and Izzy. Everything I learned from movies. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, hi.
This is my real voice.
This is my real voice.
Yeah, they've never heard it before, Steve.
Oh no! What were they thinking? Welcome, guys. Welcome to this episode where we are going to talk about Fantasy Island.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
This movie, in true Blumhouse fashion, cost only $7 million to make. And not quite in true Blumhouse fashion, because usually they make a huge profit. I mean, it made a lot of money, but it's not like, it's not the Curse of La Llorona or The Nun. But
let's take into account 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, this came out like right as the U.S. was like shutting down.
Yeah, I mean, it had a couple weeks, I think, before it started to get bad. But this movie did still manage to rake in $48.5 million.
Except for an Academy Award.
It's almost 7 times its budget back.
Yeah, so I mean, and Fantasy Island. Nathan, why have you chosen Fantasy Island for us this week?
Yeah, several reasons. First and foremost being that I'm a sucker for a Blumhouse movie. I do enjoy the genre. I usually like most of the stuff they put out, even their lesser direct-to-video things. This one, I was like, I think this one could actually be pretty good because the original series all had very Twilight Zone-y type feel to it, where like in the movie where they're like you get to live your fantasy, but your fantasy usually doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. And the fact that they were going to add that horror element to it really kind of piqued my interest. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, that's too bad.
And that is how we are going to start this episode, folks. Much like the Banana Splits movie, they updated something that was for kids, or not for kids, but for younger folks, into a horror film. My first 2 notes I want to note right now is I was high when I watched this, and I decided to dictate notes into my phone, and then I realized I was so high that I couldn't do that at the same time as listen to the movie. Just couldn't multitask. So I'm just going to read my first 2 notes as I dictated, which don't make a whole lot of sense. But this movie starts with the Sony logo, a symbol of our decadence. Maybe not. We'll find out in this week's film, Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. And then I wrote, but then the Blumhouse logo appears, perhaps to bring us back down to earth, as if to say, hey, we're human just like you, and we just like to make cinema. And then I started making notes for real.
Ooh, can I read my first note?
Yeah.
Brendan is kind of a pretentious douche when he watches movies, but how do I know that? I'm like 3,000 miles away.
Well, it's not. Well, I mean,
it's a weird note, right?
It is, But I mean, it's like any sort of wrestler, you know. It's just his real personality, maybe turned up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not that far fetched.
So
If I
he's
actually
really
watched
just like a regular douche. He just acts pretentious for the podcast.
Jesus Christ.
Acting? I don't know. He's acting.
If I really made notes like that, I would never talk about the movie. I'd be so confused reading it back.
I don't know. I've made a few notes where I'm like, what the hell was it? What does that mean?
What was I thinking? This movie begins with a young lady running into a house, and she's very scared. And she gets on the phone. She's trying to call someone, anyone, to report what's going on. And I mean, we don't know, but we know because we can hear Michael Pena's voice, and it's very distinctive. And she calls Mr. Rourke, who is played by Michael Pena, and he basically says, he already knows her name, and he's like, you know, you're one of my guests. Of course I know your name. Ooh, creepy. And then she gets dragged away by someone. Credits. But then, yeah, we get the title card. We get Fantasy Island on the screen, big letters. We're all set to go. We meet our characters who arrive, as Nathan corrected me earlier, on the plane.
The plane.
We get our character roll call here. We have Lucy Hale, who we remember from Blumhouse's Truth or Dare, a repeat offender on this podcast, playing Melanie.
Why won't she go out with me? I mean, that's... Any Weird Al fans out there?
I gotcha.
Okay.
Steve is more of a Yakov Smirnoff fan.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I think he's more a red-green guy myself, but...
Ooh, not a bad choice there.
If they don't find you handsome, at least they can find you handy.
Keep your stick on the ice, Steve. That's right.
Besides Melanie, we also get... Man, I wrote this thinking I
Dude
would
bros
remember
who
the
are
character
actually
name.
bros.
Yeah, Dude Bros, Brax, and, I don't know, Josh or something like that.
RJ, wasn't it? No, it was like RJ.
Oh, no,
it
it's
was like
Brax and JD.
JD,
That's the names.
yeah.
JD. I knew it was like a two-letter name sort of
JD,
thing.
who's not Dak Shepard.
Right. And their thing is they high five a lot.
I fucking love these two. They're so great.
Then we have Patrick, who is a police officer who has always dreamed of being in the military, which is not a surprising thing for a police officer these days.
All right, so
I want to be militarized.
It's the opposite. Usually, like, the guys who join the military are the guys who couldn't make it as police officers. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a healthy mix of the two.
Yeah, there's a
In
little
any
both.
situation.
It just made me think of how militarized the police is. The police is these days, and I was like, oh, okay.
What? Why would you say that? City of Los Angeles has 3 tanks?
I don't know. It's so weird. Who else do we have?
Maggie Q!
Yeah.
Maggie Q. Oh, yeah. I forgot Maggie Q because her whole story is like a completely different movie.
Yeah.
But Maggie Q plays a character. I think she's just called Maggie Q because that's what I wrote down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
By the way, while they arrive, a scary-looking Michael Rooker watches on, and I'm like, wait a second. When I first saw this, I was
It's
like,
a Walking Dead prequel.
That's right. His name was in the credits. I thought that was weird.
I mean, spoiler alert for later, but he does talk about how he fought a zombie not on screen.
So are you saying that The Walking Dead is just someone's fantasy?
I mean, if they wrapped up Walking Dead and it turned out to be Fantasy Island the whole fucking time, would you be shocked?
It's Carl's fantasy.
I would love if Rick just like came back out of nowhere and he was like, and then out from behind him, Mr. Rourke walks in.
Are you enjoying your fantasy? Rick?
This isn't what I wanted. I just wanted my kids to leave me alone for a fucking day.
I don't want to have to kill the Punisher in season 3. Spoiler.
Rick, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that your fantasy was to watch zombies kill your wife and child.
I don't kink shame you.
So anyway, Michael Rooker is watching, and he looks hilarious. By the way, his getup made me laugh a lot. So they all arrive. They're all going to their rooms. For some reason,
Meet Lurch the bellhop.
yeah, and Melanie packed a framed photograph, which I thought was a weird thing in 2020.
Not until you find out about her.
I guess, but at this point, I'm like,
That's odd.
yeah. It's also not autographed though, so that might be a point for her.
Well, this is true. He's got one up on striking distance, eh?
Yeah.
More on that later.
So Julia shows up. The character Julia, who is like the, I guess like the assistant.
She's supposed to be like the right hand for Mr. Rourke.
No, what's weird is they try to like, oh jeez. They try to like make you think she's just the assistant, and then the big reveal later, spoiler alert, is that she is his wife. But like as soon as she showed up in this movie, I was like, oh, that's Mr. Rourke's wife. Like I don't know, that twist didn't really surprise me. I thought that was what they were telling us the whole movie.
Well, here's the thing, like when I first watched it without hearing like any of the stuff they'd done, I just wanted to go in. This is even before we were going to be doing this for the show. I had thought that she was the tattoo character, and I was like, oh no, her name's Julia.
Yeah, that's why she did the plane in the
She
beginning.
even said like the plane. Yeah, she says that at the first, and I was like, oh no, her name's Julia. Oh, and she doesn't seem to really be in this movie all that much. Except for once a little bit towards the end where Maggie Q is her having her whole conflict thing. But then I legitimately thought that they had amalgamated Mr. Rourke and Tattoo as one, and that's why they had chosen Michael Pena to play the character.
I mean, it makes more sense when you say it like that.
But guys, when we do get the tattoo reveal, isn't it great?
We do.
No,
it's the best way you could do it. It's the best way.
No, it's horrible.
I really would have rather had found out that he is not the first Mr. Rourke, and the first Mr. Rourke was indeed Ricardo Montalban, who married Tattoo's sister or something. So that he was like Tattoo's nephew, and that's why he's as short as he was, but as suave as he was, because he's a combination of Ricardo Montalban and Jorge Villagez.
So Julia tells all the guests, your lives are about to change forever.
Oh yeah, not in any sort of ominous way whatsoever.
No, there's no music cue to make you think that this might go wrong. And then her nose starts to bleed. That's normal, right? As she walks away.
Well, they are living in a pretty southern hemisphere looking kind of place. Maybe she's a snow queen. You don't
know. So JD and Brax have some stuff here with Patrick where they tell him that they're brothers. And he gives them a quizzical look, and they're like, "What, you racist, bro?" No, I'm just kidding. We're not really brothers.
Yeah, it was at this point when they're like, "Oh no, we're just kidding." Blah blah blah. If I were Patrick, I'd just be like, "That's cool. I really don't care." Would have just started walking away as they were trying to explain it. Like, no, my family took him in, and blah blah. I don't care, bro.
Because the reason why he shouldn't care is because Melanie wants to get on that dick super hard.
Oh yeah.
She's all over Patrick. Like, why don't you come to my room later, huh? And at this point, I'm like, okay, I think this is the lead because she's the first name in the credits. So I'm pretty sure this is who we're supposed to be with. And it's weird that they're making it so overtly sexual right from the get-go. Usually
here's the thing with this is supposed to be a horror movie. For her to be so overtly sexual and to be double-fisting the drinks. She had 2 liquor drinks in her hands on the go.
Mm-hmm.
So either she is going to be our final girl for some reason, that's perfectly okay in this day and age, or she's going to be a victim because of the vice.
Right, and I thought, yeah, much like Mindhunters, they're setting up everyone's vices.
Yeah,
and it's very just as subtle. Michael Pena shows up at this point, and he is playing Mr. Rourke. And I gotta say, I love Michael Pena. I think he's a great actor. I think he's funny. But I feel like he's miscast.
He is not Antonio Banderas. That is who should have been Mr. Rourke,
right?
Hands down. Every time.
It would have been so perfect.
I assume he was too expensive, maybe for Blumhouse.
And then how good would Michael Pena have been being the brother who, spoiler alert, is going to become Tattoo?
There we go.
I think it would have. I personally would have been fine if they had Banderas as Mr. Rourke and Michael Pena as Tattoo. Yeah. Just right from the get-go. No spoilers, no reveals, no origin story garbage. Just boom. This is Mr. Rourke and his sidekick Tattoo, who rings the bell and says to playing boss.
Now, let me ask you a follow-up question, Nathan. Would you still be okay with it if they did like Michael Pena, like Gary Oldman style, like walking on his knees?
More so.
No, that would not have been okay.
Okay.
And then Matthew McConaughey is I'm a dwarf.
Yeah, Lucy Hale's like, I'm a dwarf. But Mr. Rourke comes in and just to lay down the ground rules, he says, listen, you only get one fantasy and you have to see it through to the end. You have to finish. You have to finish your fantasy.
It's to play out to its natural consequences. Yeah.
So first fantasy we get is Rourke taking the bros over to see their fantasy, because everyone else, he's like, go to bed. In the morning you'll all start your fantasies, but you guys, JD and Brax, which by the way, Brax is such a good like island dude name. I think he should have just kept that. He's like, you guys are gonna come with me, and their fantasy is a bunch of babes at a pool party.
Yeah.
And a bunch of dude babes.
And a bunch of dudes for Brax, because we find out that he is gay.
At one point during one of the scenes while they were partying, they were panning around to show all the eye candy and stuff were there, and this one zoomed by, and I was like, I didn't think there was any nudity in this. Oh, nope, that's a dude with long hair.
Yeah.
And a great set of tits.
It's funny you should mention that there's no nudity in this, because I actually found out that the unrated version of this actually has a lot of nudity, and for the theatrical...
Shut up, it does.
Oh, it does. The theatrical version, most of the girls in the background, they just CGI'd like tops onto them.
Nice.
So the opposite of Superman.
They did a TBS Showgirls
Yeah, I was gonna say, we
thing.
watched the Showgirls cut again. This is bullshit. Were there witches?
I didn't watch the unrated version because it was like you'd have to pay to rent it, and it was the exact same running time. So I was like, nope, fuck that.
Yeah, it's just covered up some boobies. That was the only thing.
Covered up boobs, and I think there's like a tiny bit more gore. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, they're partying. Brax has some dudes to party with too, and people keep seeing throughout this whole these scenes, people keep seeing this like Mudman show up for like a hot second.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like he's not. He's like, well, we find out later it's not mud.
Yeah, but it looks like a Mudman.
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah.
like.
We need to be careful.
Oh, I just mean literally. I mean a man covered in mud. That's all I mean. So meanwhile, as they're having their party time, Maggie Q meets up with Rourke, and he says, you know, your story, I'm very interested in. And we later learn why, of course. Makes more sense later. But he says...
Sorry. Patty watched this scene with me where he's doing like that extra intake interview with her to get more information on her fantasy. As soon as they brought Maggie Q into the room, Patty just blurts out, she's awfully cold.
Yeah.
Isn't it supposed to be like a tropical paradise on that island?
Not enough to turn the high beams down, I guess.
Mr. Rourke requires air conditioning. But yeah, he's meeting with her, and he says, like, I'm really interested about what you actually want. And he has, like he said, he has like another interview with her, and she says, you know, I want a do-over. And so she gets the opportunity to say yes to the proposal from her ex-boyfriend. And this is where we get the idea of like, we still don't know like how real is this? Are these actors, or did they call in the people to come in and perform this for her? Like she's I know that this is like a crazy
We also
concept.
find that there's a terrible leaky black mold issue at the place too.
Yeah, which I would leave a bad Yelp review for that. That's pretty bad.
Bring in Anthony Melcuri.
Okay, first things first. What the fuck is that?
Yeah. Is that guy covered in mud? No, don't let him touch my bag.
Oh, there's supposed to be burns. There's supposed to be burns.
Now let's check the mattress. Oh, Jesus.
For anyone who doesn't know who that is, check out Hotel Impossible. It's fucking great.
So she goes into the restaurant, Maggie Q, to say yes to the dress, and her boyfriend proposes, and she takes a long time again questioning like what is going on, how is this real. She finds Rourke, who I guess is just hanging back in the restaurant in case she has any questions.
Yeah.
And she goes,
Well, he's also pretending to be like the maitre d'
yeah.
to the boyfriend.
Which I thought was weird, because I was like, wait, why do you have to pretend? If this is all like a fake thing, you don't really have to like get into the fantasy. But yeah, she's like, She doesn't believe it, and this happens a lot in the movie, and I get it because it's supposed to be this crazy concept of like these fantasies come into life, but like after the 16th time someone is like, how can this be happening? I was like, all right, movie, we get it. But yeah, so she says yes, and they're going to get married. Everyone's very happy, and nothing can go wrong.
Meanwhile, in the second episode of the season...
Oh, yeah. Like, this thing bounces between characters every, 5 minutes?
It also feels like anytime that the characters overlap during the movie, it's almost shoehorned in to remind us, oh, remember, these characters are all in this movie together.
Yeah.
They're in this together.
Forever and ever.
Yeah.
We learn about the two other characters' fantasies. Melanie wants to get revenge on her childhood bully. And Patrick...
She's full of middle school angst.
Yep. Well, when we find out what happened, it's pretty fucked up.
It's pretty fucked up. I get, I get it, but I mean, at some point she's supposed to be what, late 20s? Mid to late 20s? I mean, it's a decade.
So Rourke takes Melanie to her fantasy... And he brings her. She goes into an elevator, and before she starts filming anything, so before she starts, spoiler alert, something's not right here. But before she starts,
he takes her to the Winter Soldier lair. Come on.
But what I wanted to say is before she starts filming anything on her phone, so she can show it to someone later, she is by herself in the elevator, clearly worrying about what is going on. And what we find out later, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yep. Her whole
really
thing doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but the movie continues.
Yeah, sure does.
It does. And it continues to make very little sense for the longest time.
Yeah.
Once you get your reveal.
Exactly. So she goes down to the, like you said, the winter. What do you say? The Winter Soldier lair.
Yeah. The secret Hydra base.
Pretty much.
And she. Lights come on, and oh shit, there she is, the childhood bully, Sloane.
It looks better than Tupac.
Yeah. She's like, wow, that's a really good hologram. Again, to no one, just herself.
To her phone, she's recording it.
But
unless she plans on sharing it, this sort of dedication to a lie does not need to happen.
No, she's recording it so then she has an alibi for later if things go wrong. You know what? Don't think too much.
The new Blumhouse slogan.
I do understand the phone stuff, but some of this stuff happens before she starts recording, and that stuff doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like, oh my god, yeah, you look so real, blah blah blah, and she starts recording it on her phone. She wants to capture the memory, and she finds a bunch of buttons that do stuff. One of them dumps toilet water on Sloane, which I mean, it's great. That
I just figured it out. It is not the Winter Soldier's lair. It is not a secret Hydra base. It is Homeland Security's intake room for interviews.
Okay.
Because she electrocutes Sloane. Yeah. She dumps a bunch of water on her. They bring a guy in who's going to cut her to pieces if she doesn't talk.
Dr. Torture.
Yeah, that's another character she kind of mentioned earlier. She had a therapist named, and she called him Dr. Torture, his nickname.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think he looked like Richard Mall with his lips sewed up.
Yeah. So Dr. Torture, okay, her whole story is, oh yeah, this therapist and he was the worst, blah, blah, blah. And of course you're thinking therapist and it's like, Dr. Katz. But then out jumps this fucking wrestler in like an orderly gimmick with like, surgery scrubs and stuff on, but, definitely not hiding those guns. And he starts just going to work on, what's her nut? Sloane.
On Sloane.
And it's like, wait, is this what her therapist looked like? like, is that why she
I don't think
recognizes
so.
him as Dr. Torture?
Yeah.
Like, wait.
I don't think he implemented these types of things because one of the things she says that he made her do was, write emotional letters to the people that you want to say stuff to.
Guys, just because he has her write emotional letters doesn't mean he can't be yoked.
That's right. All right, here's what you're going to do, bro. You're going to get these letters down, and you're going to write them to all the people that made fun of you. You're not going to deliver them, though. It's just going to be therapeutic for yourself. You get that, bro?
Okay, and then
Listen,
here's something...
Now sit still while I waterboard you.
Guys, this is the problem with school budget cuts in the U.S. Sometimes the wrestling coach has to be the therapist. That's just how it works. But yeah, so he gets suddenly gets in there, and Melanie is like, "Wait a second, is this real?" And she starts freaking out, and
well, there's even before Dr. Torture shows up, they got the whole thing where she sees the video of Sloane cheating on her husband, and she's like, "Whoa, that's not her husband." I was like, "How do you know what her husband
Right?
looks like?"
Stalker much?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe that's their way of like cluing us into her personality. I don't know, but it does seem
Guys,
like
do you remember what her nickname was?
Psycho Stalker Girl.
Yes.
But that's only because they thought that's only because her letters were put
only
all over
because
the school.
yes, the letters.
Is
Exactly.
it only because of that, or is it because she's been following Sloane around her whole fucking life?
Well, I mean, let's take it into account. No one's ever the villain in their own story. So I mean, she certainly wouldn't tell the Patrick or anybody else that that she was a psycho stalker girl like Legitsky.
Before that goes any further, we go back to Patrick, because Patrick is having his fantasy. He wants to go to war. He wants to be a soldier. But then Michael Rooker shows up and starts babbling about how this place kills people, man. You got to get out of here. And then just like that, poof, he's gone for a while again.
Yeah.
A bunch of soldiers show up, and they don't know who Patrick is, so they place him in, what do you call those? Not the cuffs, but the
Zip ties?
Zip ties. Thank
With
you.
the zip ties, yeah.
And they start taking him away. Cut to JD and Brax. They're real tight. They're tight. They live together. We find out that Brax came out of the closet, and JD's parents disowned him.
Because gay wasn't cool back then.
It wasn't cool back then.
That's an exact line from the movie.
Yep.
Wasn't it like 6 years earlier or whatever? So like 2014 or something.
Yeah. I think it was by far more acceptable than say if it was like 1998 or something.
Yeah. 2014 was a different time.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, JD is having a lot of trouble getting over his ex-girlfriend Jenny, who Brax feels like you only broke up with her because you didn't want me to leave your apartment. Like you always want me around, and I'm just like, okay, I think I like where this is going.
Yeah. Say this is definitely going to the two of them being a thing, right?
Yeah, they don't need Jenny.
Jenny, I don't need you anymore. I got Brax.
I ruined your friend's towel.
But then they put on some snazzy suits, and they find a panic room. And I do like the joke, though. It's dumb, but I do like the joke where he says, like, oh, it's just like that Jodie Foster movie. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jodie Foster in that Jodie Foster movie.
Yeah.
Again, these characters are enjoyable, at least in how silly stupid they are
Exactly.
in a horror movie situation.
Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate jokes like that. I oh my god, it's a panic room. It's just like that Jodie Foster movie, wasn't it? Like, I love that stuff.
You know what's it's really funny is how much this movie jumps around, because this scene actually should flow together like the way we've been talking about it, but there's actually a little itty bitty scene in the middle where the Maggie Q and her husband are having talking about kids and how he bought 14 boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, and I mean, I have that in my notes too, but I'm trying not to go as rapid fire between back and forth as much as the movie, because it is dizzying. But in this panic room, they also find a bunch of weapons and grenades, and then they start using a baseball bat.
Toss them in the tennis ball launcher.
Actually, no. What they find in the panic room is the map to the armory.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Movie's fixed.
Yeah.
Well, the way the movie shoots it or frames it for you, it looks like they just
walk into the next
walked
room.
into a room off of the panic room. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's like you said, it goes back and forth so much, so my notes are like it's hard to get a.
Okay, so here's what I got. I've got the grenade tennis ball, the grenade tennis ball launcher,
Yeah.
where they throw the grenade out into the ocean and it kabooms. Then they rapid cut to Patrick having his encounter with his dad. That's a brief little scene. And then boom, hey, look at that. It's Dr. Torture gets electrocuted in the Homeland Security base.
There we go. And Melanie, this is when Melanie realizes it's real, and her and Sloane get the fuck out of Dodge. By the way, did we mention that video of Sloane fucking another guy does get sent to her husband?
We did not mention that it got sent to her husband,
Okay.
but it does.
It gets posted on Facebook somehow. It gets sent to her husband. So back to JD and Brax. Their party gets broken up with gunshots. And
hey, a laser pointer.
They think somebody's getting laser pointered, and it ends up being like a sniper rifle.
And it's not. It's Kane. It's Kane.
Kane.
Well, actually, it's just Kim Coates with a mask that looks like Kane's.
That was Kim Coates. I know he looked familiar.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna.
I know how you didn't recognize him is because he's so spot on and flawless with that accent of his.
Oh my god! I know. Like when I saw him, I was like, okay, this guy looks familiar, and I know he doesn't really have this accent, but I can't place him.
Yeah, the movie I always associate him with is Last Boy Scout. He's the guy that lasts half a scene.
He punches Bruce Willis like 3 times,
the one.
and then Bruce Willis gives him the old palm thrust to the nose.
So the gunshots are busting out. They're trying to call Rourke, and Rourke is like, no. You know, the problem is the former owner of the house is probably showing up where you're partying, and he's like, what are you talking about? And they all try to get into the panic room, but then all the models and everything just like lock the panic room behind them, leaving JD and Brax out in the cold. Back to Melanie and Sloane. Dr. Torture is attacking them. I'm gonna have a stroke reading this. Dr. Torture is attacking them, but Michael Rooker saves the day and basically pulls a Terminator, like, come with me if you want to live at this point.
Oh, because he thinks he kills anyways, Dr. Torture. And we see him with his eyeball oil.
Yeah. Oh God. And the line that Rooker says, it's like, if your fantasy is to stay alive, come with me. Or something.
That's what it is.
You guys are acting like this movie like super jumps around and it's just like fast cut, fast cut, fast cut.
It kind of does, babe.
But all right, it's still a 2-hour movie. Like these two are acting like it's just like boom, 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 boom. I think you guys might have been a little bit too high watching this. Like, it's not that bad.
I don't think so.
No, it really does jump around like every like 3-4 minutes.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
They're putting an entire series, an entire season of Fantasy Island into an hour and 48 minutes.
Yeah,
or whatever
I'm not saying it doesn't jump around at all. I'm just saying like these guys are like seriously acting like it's just fast cut, fast cut, fast cut, and it's like.
It's because that's what it is.
Cool beans.
Because right away we see the fire zombie again, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, it's Patrick and his dad, where they talk about his fun nickname as a kid. His name was Ali, or nickname.
Yeah. Patrick sees his dad, and he convinces him that it's him. And I know that like they go through the whole thing where it's like, well, how can I know this and how can I know that? I don't care. I don't think I would believe it even then. Like, nope, you're crazy. How did you get this information? I'm just gonna shoot you now.
You wouldn't have lasted long in the movie Frequency.
No, I wouldn't have.
Dad, I'm talking to you on a ham radio.
Yeah, sure you are. Click.
Over in 10-4, good buddy. Click.
And then the credits just come on the screen with like Jim Caviezel just crying. Wow, that was a short movie. Holy shit.
Powerful though. He still misses his dad.
What a gut punch of an ending. So after that whole thing with Patrick, we go back to Maggie Q again. And
5 years later.
5 years later, she took a nap, or she went to bed and she woke up 5 years later. Because they have.
No, I'm sorry. When this whole thing starts to happen, and she realizes that she's married now, and that she's got a kid like she always wanted in her fantasy, should she have not have had some like mind-melting nosebleed butterfly effect type situation with a rush of memories coming back and possibly giving her an aneurysm?
I mean, that's in the unrated cut, I believe.
Okay. Hunt that down.
But yeah, she has a daughter. She has a daughter now. She has photos on her phone from over the years. And again, we keep getting her being like, how is this possible? What's going on? And Mr. Orca's like, it's the island. It's the island. It's the island. It's the island.
It's the island. Don't ask too many questions. It's the island.
And then we finally get Rourke revealing that his whole thing there, because his wife was brought back to life, but the deal was that his wife died and he wanted her back to life, and he has to remain on the island and orchestrate everyone else's fantasies in order for his wife to stay alive.
Which means if she had wanted to continue on with this life that she now had, she would have to stay on that island.
Yeah.
He wanted her back exactly as he met her. So exactly as he met her includes with whatever pre-existing condition she had, and she hasn't met him yet. Like, they're not romantically, so he has to earn her love all again and watch her re-die.
That sounds worse than just letting go.
Yeah.
Really, really does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you look at Maggie Q's situation, I mean, she had kind of a shit kid.
Oh, wait, the one who, spoiler alert, is gonna murder the husband here shortly?
Like, even before that, though, the kid's like, you don't deserve this, mommy! Like, where the fuck did that come from?
And, well, yeah, then this is like, it's like, oh, but this is the natural conclusion. It's like, the natural conclusion isn't that my kid knows about my terrible past and holds it against me.
And then kills my husband.
Also, how natural is it to skip 5 years in a day? Like,
in a nap.
So then we go back to the Patrick storyline,
which is happening in apparently near Venezuela.
Well, the dad is saying like, okay, we're gonna go to Venezuela, and this is kind of a weird part, I thought, because Patrick is like, the dad finds out that he dies in Venezuela and never makes it back. And and then he's like, well, I mean, thanks for telling me. I mean, now we know. Now we're not going to go and everything's going to be fine. He's like, no, you have to die in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So when I was watching this in the movie theaters for the first time, and he's like, no, you got to go back. And they start like fighting there in the river. I'm like, holy shit, is he going to kill his dad in the fucking river? And that's going to be the reason his dad died on this mission? That would be awesome.
No, see, the reason he's saying his dad can't, like, leave, it's not that he wants his dad to die. His dad's gonna go AWOL, which means he's gonna be a traitor instead of a hero. Yeah, instead of jumping on a grenade and saving the rest of his platoon and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, well,
it's awesome that you guys you clarified that, but I need to theater money. You paid theater money for this?
No. Steve had the free tickets because it was the end of our enrollment for the. You remember when theaters used to have those for $10 a month? You get like 2 free tickets and 50% off your popcorn. Yeah. You guys remember theaters, right? Yeah, we had one of those, and we were like, "Well, this Rona doesn't seem to be calming down. We should use our free tickets." Yeah.
Our theaters are still open. What are you talking about?
Oh, God damn it! That's right. They're not in the U.S.
Oh fuck.
That's right.
But no, okay, I get that he doesn't want to be AWOL or whatever, but like also if this is like a fantasy and you're like the whole time you're like, well, clearly this isn't real, I would think that you'd be like, well, I just want him to live so I get to hang out with him longer.
Yeah, hang out for a few more hours before the holodeck resets or whatever.
Like his fantasy wasn't really to go to war. His fantasy was to try and save his dad. War.
Well, it was to be. I get they had said to be a hero. I think that's what he had said, to have the courage to be. a hero.
Well, if that's.
But the island really knew that he wanted to, to see his dad.
Even though he expressed at the beginning, basically he was expecting to just go play paintball.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I just realized that I when I didn't know who Kim Coates was, I just wrote not Pedro Pascal.
Also true.
I mean, it's not wrong.
So back to the bros, because the bad guys are confronting him, and Kim Coates, aka not Pedro Pascal, is there.
He is there with his best Milosh accent.
He's like, yeah, I want. He wants to know what happened to their cash and cocaine, and they're like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And they threaten to cut off JD's hands, so he's like, fuck, it's downstairs, I guess. Shit, I don't know.
It's downstairs by the garage, which is where the armory is. Eh?
Dun dun dun, luring them in. This is where, Steve, you mentioned, because we go back to Maggie Q, and there's that really creepy moment where she's like, I forget what she.
Oh, the beach family scene.
Yeah, I forget what she says to the daughter, but the daughter's answer is like, "You know why, mommy."
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I just thought it was funny. Oh yeah, because she wants to, like, she's like, "Well, can I live in your sandcastle?" And that's when she's like, "No."
Oh yeah. That's right.
Why? You know why, mommy. Bye.
And then the husband's like, "Yeah, don't worry, she won't let me live there either. Something about rent control, or I don't know."
And then Maggie Q goes and sees Rourke, and she's like, "Listen, I want a new fantasy because I've got a real shit kid on my hands here."
I need to abort this fantasy.
Is it she
real
didn't
quick.
realize that all the stuff that was happening was real, and she wanted her do-over, right?
Well, yeah, and she says, like, this is not what I meant by do-over, and he says, listen, this is what the island interpreted, and then she's like, no, but enough of that, because we got to cut back to Michael Rooker and Melanie and Sloane, and Michael Rooker is leading them. He's like, let's go into this cave, and
we find out at this point his name is Damon.
Yeah.
And I made a Mystery Science theater note. Yeah, matted Damon. Because of how disheveled and unkempt he's looking. Matted Damon.
Print it.
You're
Put it
welcome.
on a t-shirt.
Put it on a t-shirt.
I just wrote
Just a haggard picture. A haggard picture of Michael Rooker with Damon. Matted Damon.
I just wrote, I don't know about you guys, but I think if Michael Rooker showed up looking like the way he does in this movie and saying, hey, come into this cave with me, even if he saved my life, I don't know that I would be so willing to go.
Yeah, it'd be more like, no, we'll protect the entrance.
And isn't this where he tells us that he came to have a fantasy about spending more time with his daughter or whatever, and then she turned into a black-eyed zombie?
Yes.
And it's like, oh!
Right. Walking Dead.
That's right.
He does take her into the Ptolemies. We see Sloane's doppelganger, and there are sea snakes.
Yes, sea snakes, which we don't actually ever see. We just get warned that they exist.
Oh, we see outlines of them.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sloane sees herself, and her, I guess her, like, the us version of Sloane is like, yeah, you're a bitch, you know it. Come on, you're not actually helping Melanie. You're a bully, and you've always been a bully. And she's like, no, it's not true. It's impossible.
Spot on. And
that's
scene.
the line. And scene. And then also Michael Rooker mentions too, aside from the whole thing with his daughter, he says, I've come here to find out how it works, and I'm going to expose the whole island. So he takes like a sample of this like water in the center of the cave, and he's like, listen, you've got to smuggle this off the island and give it to.
Oh, don't forget about the dark crystal.
What?
The dark crystal. Because he takes the water from that
like
pool there, but the water that runs down over top of this crystal is what's causing is what reads the fantasies and stuff.
Yeah, it's like the magic crystal water fountain thing. And yeah, he's like, just get this off the island, get this to some people I know, and we're gonna expose it all.
Yeah, call this number, and the guy will come in plane in an hour and pick you up, and definitely not immediately get shot down. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm reading ahead in the script.
So that happens, and then we go back to Maggie Q again. Which is what's funny is that it doesn't like go, okay, first character, second, third, fourth. Okay, first, second, third, fourth. It just goes in like random order. So sometimes you don't see characters for like 20 minutes, and you're like, wait, what's happening with Melanie right now? But we go back to Maggie Q, and she's talking with Julia, who again, at this point, I'm like, okay, so that's Rourke's wife. I get it. And she's asking Julia if she can change her fantasy, and she's like, no, I have no say over that, bro. And
I'm just a housekeeper.
I'm just the housekeeper. She finally gets Rourke. He begrudgingly agrees to like let her, do what she actually wanted to do. And what she actually wanted to do was save someone from an apartment house fire that she believes someone died in that building, and she believes she feels responsible for that.
Well, because it started in her apartment.
Yeah, in her
Yeah,
apartment.
it started in her apartment, and she is the one who left the burner on.
Right. So she's racing through. She runs into JD and Brax in the building. Uh-oh, what? Does that mean that other characters are connected in some way?
It's a crossover!
Patrick is also the officer on the scene, and she tries to save this guy. Do they name him at this point?
She knew his name was Nick or something because it was upstairs neighbor, and I guess she knew him.
Not his two roommates.
Yeah, not the two roommates though.
Yeah. Yeah, we find out JD and Brax that was their roommate that they didn't check on before they left the building. They figured he was out.
No, okay, I think I get it. She knows the upstairs neighbor's name because he died, so his name was in the newspaper and everything, but didn't know about the roommates and stuff. That's why she knows it, but not at the time of the fire. There we go. Boom.
It's still kind of weird that she's never met them, like living in the same building.
Well,
I mean, I guess we don't know how long she's been there.
I think she did have a little throwaway line where she said she had just moved in there for like a month or whatever and left the thing on. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Subtlety.
Okay. All right, movie. All right, Wadlow. You get away with this one.
You get a pass on this one.
Besides, guys, here in America, we're not like you Canadians. We don't bring fresh baked lobsters covered in maple syrup to
gun
our
control,
brand new neighbors.
Medicare for all.
Maple syrup and THC.
I mean, we don't talk to our neighbors. Our neighbors might be like Trump supporters or something.
I'm related to half my neighbors, and I don't know where they've been the last 6 months.
Depending on where you live, you don't talk to your neighbors. When I lived in Vancouver, one of the first rules I learned real quick was just keep to yourself living in that apartment.
When your neighbor's Dr. Uwe Boll, I mean.
Right? So see, and you're judging
you move.
You're judging Maggie Q for not knowing her neighbors? Come on.
I'm not. I didn't know. And Brendan, of all people, living in the previous apartment, should know not to talk to neighbors as well.
Never.
See?
Don't even look in their direction.
In fact, introduce yourself.
So it's not that
or
far-fetched.
set them on fire. Which one are you more okay with?
Wait, in my previous apartment, the fire thing, obviously.
Yeah. So drop the
I don't think that's
judge your sin.
Well, no, but it makes more sense now. I'm not saying that she's met them, but that she's never seen them. But it makes more sense now that she's only moved in for a month.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, she goes up to Patrick, and Patrick is the officer on duty, and he's like, "Don't be a hero." So of course she runs back in. But then we find out later, because we have to cut to like 4 more characters right now. But we find out later that she wasn't able to save him. Like she got her second chance and she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because we got to go back to the bros, and they're going to the panic room, and Brax goes into the armory and actually gets one of the guns and shoots one of the goons.
Alejandro.
Yeah, yeah. He calls it Alejandro because it's big like Alejandro's dick, the guy he fucked at the party.
Trust me, guys, it's really subtle in the movie when you see it.
And then he's like, "Not your fantasy, asshole." So after Brax blows this dude away. Wait, what?
Boom.
Yeah. But Alejandro does it, actually.
Alejandro blows this dude away. And then we cut back to Michael Rooker and the girls, which should be a sitcom. And he has one of my favorite lines. It's so stupid, but he's like, they're arguing back and forth, the girls. And he says, "Listen." He looks at Sloane. He's like, sounds like you were a real Miss Teen asshole 2009 back then." Like, what? It's just such a...
He's not wrong.
It's just such a weird line that he threw together seemingly on the fly.
It's kind of a dad line, so I mean, makes perfect sense.
He tries to he's like, "Girls, you just got to make up and, possibly kiss." I'm assuming that's what he was going to say next.
We smell each other a bit. Yeah,
but he's interrupted by Dr. Torture. And they start fighting, and ultimately he sacrifices himself and pushes him off a cliff. I mean, we assume both die. I mean, Michael Rooker's character obviously is gone. He is out of the movie. Back to the bros. Brax has a grenade, and JD manages to get out of his situation. And they're walking around, and he's got the grenade in front of him. He's holding everyone else at bay, saying he's going to pull the pin. He's going to pull the pin. And then suddenly, fantasies start colliding because
fantasy crossover again.
We get a crossover episode, much like The Simpsons and The Critic back in the day.
Yeah.
Except that was good.
Yeah, that was a lot better.
Football in the groin.
But he's holding them at bay, and they're walking backwards, and then the soldiers start showing up, and because of Patrick being like, drop the grenade, turn around, oh, it's you, Brax, and that whole thing just throws everything into disarray.
Oh, hi, Brax.
I didn't know it was you. Meanwhile, JD goes back in the panic room, and he escapes along with all the supermodels, which I thought was fun.
We also find out that the enemies respawn on Fantasy Island, which is bullshit, just like in video games.
Yeah.
Well, it takes away some of the impact of some of the later stuff, like Michael Rooker sacrificing himself to save the girls. But now I get our first bit of, like, I think really our first bit of stakes in this movie that feels like it's possibly permanent, because JD gets shot in the chest and seemingly killed.
Oh no!
Not JD.
Not Dak Shepard.
And then Patrick gets to fulfill his fantasy and watch his father die in battle.
Yeah.
Wait.
Don't the girls, finally they do a little 2 and 2, where they figure out that they can contact people off the island from the Homeland Security bunker.
They do, and this is also the moment where when we go back to Melanie and Sloan, Sloan figures out that Melanie was not kidnapped here, as she's been claiming. She actually, this was her fantasy to see Sloan tortured. And she's like, well, I didn't know it was going to be for real. And, of course, you're like, well, yeah, of course not. Like, you believe that at this point in the movie. But she shows her cell phone video, thus going back to the thing where she was recording it. To prove that, she didn't know what was going on, which is fine. Like, I get the cell phone video stuff was an act. That's fine.
Okay.
But here's the thing, like,
but I don't know.
There's some real, like, in-depth stuff here that if you stare at it too long, it falls apart, because how did she know everything was going to play out exactly the way it did, enough so that she was like, okay, I need to tape it to make it look like I didn't think any of this was real?
Because it's her fantasy.
But I mean, the other characters have fantasies, and they don't go exactly as they wanted.
But their fantasies are within her fantasy.
So do you think she wrote down every single minute detail of what was going to happen, though?
Yeah,
no.
Because of her Stocky McStalkerson, she knew that their fantasies were going to be this, but then her fantasy was for them to get all corrupted and shit, and, watch your dad die, and watch your bro JD die, and, watch your shit kid murder your husband.
No, guys, it's the island. They could ask for whatever they wanted. They could be like, I want to play with 1,000,000 kittens. It's going to aim the fantasy in a direction that's going to lead back to her fantasy.
So they're all going to be rabid.
Exactly.
I still think you guys are giving this movie the screenplay way too much credit.
You know what? They really should have just went to the island of misfit toys. Because who wants a Charlie in the box?
Oh my god, if little Sasquatch would have showed up. And
He's just a little Sasquatch.
So yeah, but this is the point where, like you said, they find out they can call off the island. They call Sloane's husband, and she's like, listen, I cheated on you, and I get it, and if you don't ever want to trust me again, that's totally fine, but listen, can you just call this person and tell him that we're totally stuck on an island and get him to ride his plane out here?
You want me to call long distance? Bye. Click.
I love how the husband is like, I mean, I guess I'll call this guy. Not like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like, fine, I'll call this guy, but this is going into divorce hearings, all right?
I'm calling my lawyer. He's recording this conversation.
Right. Oh shit, what was that number again?
But this is where Sloane kind of gets her redemption a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she kind of takes Roker's advice, or Matt Damon's advice, and apologizes for how terribly she treated Melanie.
It's weird that she slowly turns into the main character.
Kind of, yes.
Like a character that's not part of the core group that just shows up later as like part of the fantasy, ends up being like... Anyway, I just thought it was kind of odd.
Ultimately, if you think about it, she's the final girl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're all really final girls.
Well, no, but I mean, like... You would think that it would be someone like Maggie Q, but I feel that there's more legwork done as far as redemption and saving people done on her part, like at least as far as actions go. Not necessarily maybe the putting together the schemes, because that definitely does come later with Maggie Q, and she does a little bit of a 2 and 2 with Julia, although it's painfully obvious to everybody else who's watching it who Julia is from the get-go.
Yeah.
Maggie Q only kind of really puts together what's going on at the end.
Mm-hmm. So back to Brax. Brax and Patrick run into the girls, the supermodels, and then they find Rourke and his staff. And they go really over the top with trying to make you think that Rourke is still evil, which, again, at this point in the movie, I'm like, clearly there's something else going on. But he's like, you can't leave. You gotta finish the fantasy, blah, 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 blah. And then everyone meets up, and they all start to figure out their connection to Nick, this gentleman who died in the apartment building fire. I gotta say too, because like, okay, so two of the roommates are like, listen, I should have just checked on him on our way out, because I thought he was out. The cop is like, I didn't go in and save him. I might have had time to go in there and save him. Maggie Q is like, I started the fire, and then Melanie is like, we were supposed to go on a date. I feel so responsible. I'm like, wait, what? That's like, I don't know if you should shoulder that much of the blame for this one. But anyway, they all figure that out. And like Steve was saying earlier, the plane arrives. And what happens, Steve?
Tow missile! Like a parkour gang leader in Punisher Warzone. Just
So now they think that Julia, this girl Julia, is possibly Nick's mother. And they're like, listen, we got to go to the spring in the cave that we were at earlier, and if we get rid of it, if we destroy it, we destroy all the fantasies, and everything will be hunky-dory.
There's one part where they're going back to the Dark Crystal, and the girls mention the sea snakes in the caves, and somebody has the line, did she say sea snakes? I was like, that scene, honest to God, probably took 120 takes. Did she say sea snakes? Did she say sea snakes? Did she say
sea snakes about the seashore?
Wadlow, I'm having trouble.
We'll fix it in post.
And we also find out that apparently they're rattle sea snakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because at one point, they're crawling through the water, underwater, and you hear...
Yeah. Yep. As rattles do.
Yeah, underwater.
So while they're in this cave, everyone starts getting distracted by like illusions. Like Brax thinks he sees JD, who's like oozing black ink, and says, Mom and Dad loved me more. They wished you were dead, and all this crazy shit. Sloan runs into the other Sloan again. Dr. Torture shows up again. Thus negating that
zombie versus zombie this Sunday in the Terror Dome.
Thus negating the whole thing earlier with Michael Rooker. Patrick is attacked by Zombie Dad.
It's at this point I actually written, this thing has taken a turn.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It goes from like, okay, this is your fantasy, like this is a heightened reality, to like, no, there's just a bunch of zombies now.
Well, because they're not in their fantasy. They're in somebody else's revenge fantasy.
Where were the zombies earlier? Just sporadic. I would have had the zombies attack all the time, every time.
As soon as they got off the plane, the zombies attack. And then it turns into that, what was the name of that game? Like Dead Island or something like that? Yeah.
But see, that would be your fantasy. This isn't the person who's paying for the fantasy's fantasy.
So Maggie Q sees her daughter that has murdered her husband. Again, she's a bit of a shit kid.
I killed Daddy with a rock.
You're next. Come here.
I'm in danger.
Nick also pops up, who we thought was just I thought anyway for a while was just a guy covered in mud because we only saw him briefly. And then Maggie Q was like, listen, we know Julia is your mom and blah blah blah, and he's like, who the fuck is Julia?
Yeah.
What? I think it's at this point where Maggie Q is finally like, guys, I think we're in someone else's fantasy.
No, she says that long before. She says that when Julia pulls her out of the fire.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
but she says
because that's when they first pitched the idea that Julia is Nick's mom, as is sold by Melanie.
It's just funny because it just seems like an out of nowhere line when it happens. She just like, oh,
Like an RKO.
like an RKO. She's talking to Julia, yeah, and then she just like, we could be in someone else's fantasy, and I'm like, oh, okay, movie, cool. That's the ending, I guess.
Roll credits.
Well, because no matter what she does, like we're going back to the fire scene, no matter what she does, she can't get to him in the apartment. She can't save him. There's no way for her to do it. So obviously that's not her fantasy. She can't right that wrong. So therefore, her being on the island must be part of somebody else's fantasy.
Well, guys, it's about to be revealed because Patrick is stabbed in the gut. Who did it? It's Melanie.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
She's very angry because she was going to have a coffee date with Nick, and she finally found someone who didn't, she was, she waited for the date. She thought he wasn't showing up because she all these years of, mental, verbal, and physical abuse, mostly at the hands of Sloane. And then she later, of course, found out that the apartment fire took his life, and she thought it was because of herself, so she became very depressed. And it's kind of weird. Like, I half expected the movie to have Sloane be like, maybe I should have been bullying you. It's weird that they turned, like, the one that was bullied into, like,
she turns into the villain, and the bully becomes... essentially the de facto hero.
Yeah.
It's a classic double turn, dude.
It's
It's
weird.
like Brett and Steve Austin at SummerSlam that time.
I thought it's just a little bit of a weird
But
thing.
that's way smarter.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah,
So-
I do like Brax's little line, like as they're like trying to escape from her, where he's like, "Oh, this because she didn't get a fucking date or something like that."
No, they went out one time.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
time.
Rourke shows up and reveals that Julia is his wife, and you're like, what? And but he says, I have to, according to the island, she has to be under the assumption that she's just my assistant, and she basically has to get sick and die every day.
Yeah.
Which again sounds like a horrible nightmare.
Oh, so a fate worse than death. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Maggie Q runs off, and while Melanie has everyone else at bay, and she's like, "Listen, you need to just let go. You need to let go of her. You need to let go and just destroy the Dark Crystal Fountain, and just get over it, bro." And he eventually does. He eventually takes off his ring, and he lets her go. And then everyone's, Melanie is like preparing to, I guess, like have everyone killed. But then Sloane still has that canteen from earlier. Remember the water that Michael Rooker took to get off the island? Mm-hmm. And Rourke is like, hey, anyone who drinks from the water is bound to they get to have their fantasy fulfilled.
Yeah, your own
Everybody gets
fantasy.
one.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one, which, by the way, if this was only Melanie's fantasy, this whole thing, then wouldn't everyone
Technically,
else?
everybody else deserves a fantasy. Yeah.
But they didn't drink the black water.
They were too busy drinking liquor all damn day.
What do you think the ice was made of?
No, you have to drink the black water.
Wait, so you're telling me that to go to Fantasy Island, you have to... I don't think they're taking everyone into that cave.
No, well, obviously he can bring some out.
I don't know.
And make ice to put in the drinks.
Either way, Sloane drinks it, and her... What?
They were too high
As
to catch the
as
actual
usual,
ball.
they don't see the subtleties. It's like King Arthur: Legend of the Sword all over again.
They just don't get
Go
it.
fuck yourself.
Canadians just don't get it.
They actually, our numbers prove that we do.
Oh, shit, using science.
Yep, that's why Hollywood is in Vancouver.
Well,
Got a point.
So Sloane drinks the water. She gets her fantasy, and her fantasy is for Melanie to quote unquote join Nick. And of course, Nick pops up and drags her in like fucking the end of the first Friday the 13th movie. And
Yeah.
but
I just have well played noted here.
as she's pulled in, pop, her grenade gets launched out of the water, and Patrick is like, oh shit, and jumps on it and takes the full brunt of it and fucking dies, sacrificing himself, being a hero for everyone else.
Well, you got to be a hero. It's like what you want in this fantasy. So there you go.
So then we have the ending. They're all getting ready to go on the plane, and Brax is pretty sad though. and he's like, you know what,
Oh, before he has his little thing with Rourke, when they get on the plane, Maggie Q talks with Sloane, and Sloane's like remorseful about how bad she treated, Melanie, and the whole time. And Maggie Q has this lovely tidbit where she's like, you'll need to, forgive yourself. I was like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. As someone who was mercilessly bullied all through middle school, I don't want those people to ever come to terms with what they did and then forgive themselves.
Yeah, that's why I just think it was like the optics are a bit weird with the character reveal of Melanie being like the villain. But anyway, yeah, so they get in the plane, and then Brax is like, I'm very sad, and Rourke comes over and he's like, you can bring JD back with a fantasy, but you'd have to stay here on the island. And so, hilariously, and I don't know how, if I was having an intentional laugh or unintentional laughter, but like they're on the plane, they're like, and JD just like pops out of the front seat, and he's like, I don't think Brax is coming, guys.
Yeah. So from what I understand from this situation, Blackwater JD is out there running through co-eds.
Yes.
While Brax is hanging out, dressing in little outfits, being a little mini Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
just making sure.
We find out because earlier there was a couple scenes where JD kept referring Brax as to
T.
Yeah, kept referring to Brax as T, and he was like, "Man, don't bring up my nickname." And I remember watching the first time, I was like, "The fuck? That's not an embarrassing."
And he goes like, "I can't wait to get that shit lasered off. Worst tattoo ever."
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still like, "Oh, okay." But then he's like, "What do you want your name to be?" And Brax is like, instead of picking Brax, a cool island name, I would be Brax on an island.
He would have to teach surf lessons with a name like Brax.
Fine.
Right.
Fine.
By the way, he says what? Yeah, he says like, "What do you want to be called?" Brax is a little unusual, or something like that. And he goes, "As long as it's not my college nickname after this terrible tattoo I got." Well, what's that tattoo of?
And it's a tattoo that says, "Tattoo." Oh, he's tattoo. Ah, so stupid.
It's stupid, but it's absolutely 100% a thing a dude bro would do in college for a laugh.
Sure.
Yeah.
If there's a class clown dude bro, guarantee you one night at the frat, and he's like, dude, you should get a tattoo of the word tattoo.
What does mine say? Sweet. What's mine say? Dude. What's mine say? Sweet.
Oh
What's
God.
mine say? Dude.
Oh no! What's going on? We're in a loop. My point is, it's a weird way to reveal a character's origin story.
I think it's the best way to handle this particular character's origin story.
Wait, the origin story for a character that we're never going to see again because there's no way there's going to be a sequel.
100
I don't know what you're talking about. It made 7 times its budget back almost.
It is Blumhouse.
Yep.
We're still waiting for 8 in heaven.
Dude, as long as they can get money on that theatrical return, if they think they can make a dime off of it, I guarantee you they'll be happy to do it. You might have to wait a little while though.
The curse of la 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 Rona.
All right.
La 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 Rona.
All right.
Because they got like 50 sequels coming with the budget they made.
Okay, that's the movie. That is the movie.
But here's the thing. Before we say there's the movie, they could absolutely do a sequel or something like that, because now Blumhouse is doing that thing on Amazon where they're doing like the
short story
that series. No, some of them aren't even some of them are full movies.
Oh,
have you seen the one Black Box?
Obviously not.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, but it's not. They're Blumhouse movies, but it's almost like they're Blumhouse movies that were made specifically to go direct to video, and like Amazon snatched them all up, and they're calling it like, I don't know what it's the Blumhouse something.
Welcome to the Blumhouse.
Welcome to the Blumhouse. That's it. Yes, welcome to the Blumhouse.
So Fantasy Island. That was Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm. Blumhouse is Fantasy Island.
Blumhouse is Fantasy Island. Sorry. Now, Nathan, was this movie worth a watch? A drunk watch with friends? Would you attempt head trauma to forget it, or avoid like the plague?
I'd say drunk watch with friends, or drunk talk with friends, as I've been doing.
Steve, Izzy, what do you think?
Oh, drunk watch with friends. Here's the thing. My expectations of this movie were so low. Like, so low.
Like Blumhouse's Fantasy Island low expectations.
After we watched this, I was like, oh shit, I think it's like the third best movie I've seen this year so far.
Out of 6.
yeah, behind Invisible Man and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, you guys haven't seen The Hunt yet? That thing's
balls
awesome.
No, but at the time of watching this, it was like, this movie is so much better than it has any right to be.
Steve, are you same rating for you?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I not quite as highly as my wife because with the reveal, you start going back like, wait, nope, nothing previous makes any fucking sense whatsoever. But at least it was, it was horror done in a good way, which I can look past because sometimes you just write yourself into a goddamn corner. Looking at you, Lost, and yeah. I'd say give it a watch.
Something I was very disappointed about because Brendan here actually raised my hopes up. As we're walking into the theater to watch this, Steve gets a message from Brendan saying, ugh, you guys are going to love this movie. Spoiler alert, the ending is like King Arthur Legend of the Sword.
Yeah.
And so with all the talk of the sea snakes, we wanted a giant fucking snake.
And with like the statues of the snakes and everything, we're like, holy shit, that's good. There's going to be a giant fucking snake bursting through at the end and wiping out everybody.
It actually, in retrospect, given all the imagery and icons of the snakes that we see throughout, like it's on emblems all over the place, it was really weird that there was no giant snake that was like the central power of the island or something.
Yeah, we were waiting for that to be like the big reveal at the end.
Literally, like at the end when Sloane drinks the water and is like, "I hope you can be with him forever." We're like, "Here it comes! Here it comes!"
Giant snake.
The same music as King Arthur. Hey, Bensabel, sweep and weary.
So I'm gonna say for my rating, I couldn't choose one or the other. I'm gonna put it somewhere between a drunk watch and attempting head trauma. There were enough parts that I thought were dumb and funny, but there was also it also wasn't that great. I don't know. It's somewhere between it. It's okay. It's check it out if you're drunk or you want to commit head trauma.
I give it a Braxton JD fantasy. Like, it starts out pretty good, but then they CGI on the tops and the drug lords show up. Like, it kind of falls apart towards the end.
And on that note, we are going to take a brief break. We will be right back.
What were they thinking?
What Were They Thinking is brought to you by HostGator. HostGator is a leading provider of shared, reseller, VPS, and dedicated hosting solutions. Award-winning support is available 24/7, 365 days a year via phone, email, and live chat. Discover why over 9 million websites trust HostGator. Use the coupon code SCHLOCK for 25% off your first purchase. That's SCHLOCK, SCHLOCK, for 25% off your first purchase.
What Were They Thinking is brought to you today by GameItAll.com. Whether it's video game news, the latest in music, or movie reviews, GameItAll.com is your one-stop shop for all nerdy talk.
What were they thinking?
And we're back.
Yes, we are back.
Oh my god, Steve, those were the greatest ads that ever added in the history of adding.
She said it.
They get better every week.
It's from gracious sponsors like them, and the Chubb Group and viewers like you, that we can bring this quality level of entertainment to you each and every week.
Nathan, I believe it's time for the low haiku.
It is time for the low haiku, which is 7 perfect syllables.
7? Just 7?
Sorry, 17. It's been a rough week. The pledge week did not go as I had hoped, but still, we did manage to continue to secure the 17 syllables, the 17 perfect syllables used to describe the movie that we've just been talking
In retrospect, we should not have rehired Charlie Rose.
Really, people are quite still cross with him, actually.
So I'll I'll defer to our guests here. Izzy, do you have a low haiku you would like to read for us?
Why, yes, I do.
Okay.
Fantasy Island. It should have been worse, much worse. The plane, boss, the plane.
Oh, I hear some tongue wagging. Wonderful. Stephen, do you have a haiku for us?
I do.
Oh, okay. I understand you worked on this all throughout the night, so I'm very excited.
All throughout the last 15 seconds.
Okay, perfect.
Who would have been better? Antonio Banderas. You're welcome, Blumhouse. Nasonex.
Very good. All right. Nathan, did you want to go next?
Yes. A 70s reboot. How can I really explain? The pain, boss. The pain.
So now that that's out of the way, I'm going to read my haiku here. Live your fantasies. Fulfill your wildest desires. With Michael Rooker. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. And, we're out.
And proud.
Yeah, we're a couple of proud boys. Oh, no.
That's nope, not where you want to go with that one.
Actually, let's steal that hashtag. Why not? So, yeah, we talked about Fantasy Island. We got a little poetic. But, Nathan, what do we always say?
Well, we always say...
Don't take our word for it! Yeah!
That's right, folks. Don't take our word for it, because we're going to go to Rotten Tomatoes and see what other people thought. Nathan, I'm assuming this has a large percentage of the critics thought this was pretty good.
Well, you know what? It's funny, Bernie. You had said that this had a budget of like $7 million.
Yeah.
And then it made like $48 million.
Holy shit!
Well,
that's insane.
Yeah. Being in theaters for like 2 weeks before that Rona.
7% of the critics liked this movie, and 48% of the audience liked this movie.
The budget is in the Rotten Tomatoes, folks. It's all through the looking glass. It goes straight to the top. Well, let's take a look at some of the 7% of critics and see what people said. Benjamin Lee of The Guardian asks, one question remains unsolved when the credits roll. Who on earth is this film for?
Oliver Pfeiffer.
Yeah. Michelle's dad.
Right. From Sci-Fi Now wrote, if you were stranded on this desert island and made to live out your chosen fantasy to its logical conclusion, you would surely choose something more life-affirming than this forgettable affair.
Boom.
Nice.
1 out of 5.
Oof.
I have one from Preston Barta of the Denton Record Chronicle.
That
it was
brag.
posted on my birthday. All right.
Happy birthday, Steve. Also, go see Fantasy Island.
Indeed. I'm sorry. You reading the same one? No. Fantasy Island is admittedly nothing to dream about, but it's a hell of a lot of fun if you can prepare yourself for something that seems as if it came out 20 years ago. Then you'll have a solid time with it. 3 out of stars.
All right, next one is from, I think it's Kiko Vega from Espinoff. says full review in Spanish, just if anyone's interested. This is actually a positive review. And Kiko says, I will always defend as much as possible this impossible but amazing mix of Lost and First Dates, a delirious idiot comedy with the scent of the best worst genres of the 90s. 3 out of 5.
Okay. Well, I have one here from Linda Cook of Quad City Times.
Oh, fuck. Wait, that's Linda Hunt. Never mind.
No. Hers is nice and brief. Well, at least the summary of her full review is, Fantasy Island is worse than Cats.
Oh, well, yeah.
1 out of 4.
I love Cats. Cats is amazing.
Cats is horrible. Stop.
Cats is fantastic. Shut up. Steve?
Mark Kermode of Kermode and Mayo's Film Review. The absolute definition of missable.
I saw that too. That was a good one-liner. All right, my last one I'll read here is from Tomris Laughley of Time Out. It starts with a quote. This place doesn't suck, someone observes early on, if only.
Well, my last one is from Casey Chong. I'm assuming they're related to Tommy.
Probably.
From Casey's Movie Mania. And they write, just about everything in the movie falls flat with stock characters and limp storyline, man. 1 out of 5.
Okay, let's get into the audience reviews here. 48% of the audience like this movie, but one of them is not Calum L. Because Calum L says calling this a movie would be generous. 1 star.
Calling that a review is generous. 1 star.
Wow, hot takes right off the get-go.
This one is from Robert E.
Lee?
By the sounds of it, possibly. He apparently had a higher opinion than old Callum did, and writes, "This is a much better than what I was expecting." Let that sink in again. Okay. This is a much better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It was panned too harshly. The acting was really good, and the story plot came to a satisfying conclusion. 4 out of stars.
I love when the story plot is good.
Oh, man.
You just reviewed this a few days ago as of the recording.
I feel like this guy is about as high as Brendan and Nathan were when they watched the movie, so
I
a star
was
out of
drunk,
stars.
thank you.
Yeah, Nathan was drunk. Get it right.
Well,
I give it a 4 out of 20.
I give a star out of stars review.
Wow, that's actually 100%. That's very generous.
I have Mark C. That's Mark with a C. C.
Mm-hmm.
C.
I liked it. I seen the original Fantasy Island. This was not that. It was a horror version. Like the Jinn version of an island that grants fantasy. It has some twist and some touching moments. Highly under-rated. Guys, is this secretly like a Wishmaster prequel?
Oh, I'm in, and therefore that review gets 5 stars.
Because he's not a Jinn.
You don't know that. There could be a giant snake Jinn. It's revealed in the second movie.
Look, if there was a giant snake Jinn, I would know about Jinn.
It's a lemon gin. So
he wasn't upset about Jenny. He was upset about Jenny.
Jenny.
Every day I would wake up and drink Jenny. It made me feel like I could take on the world. And then crash really hard. All right, this review is from Fulton. Just says Fulton.
Just Fulton.
5 stars. It kind of takes a sad turn at the end. Super amazing storyline, but very sad at times. For the most part, it was a good movie. Maybe would have liked to see it at home though.
Man, it's so weird. I can't imagine having gone to see this in theaters because I'm pretty sure I saw it like on Prime a few weeks after it was supposed to be in theaters. Okay, well, I've got one here from Michael K. Pretty sure it's Michael Keaton.
Probably.
And he writes, the worst movie I have ever seen. So bad in every category. Acting, writing, directing, characters. It's like they didn't even care and just wanted a cash grab from the teens that would see this. So bad during the movie, the audience literally at multiple plot reveals were laughing or saying WTF.
Let's see. I've got one from Murillo S. Well, a bad remake. This film travels a little bit in the potato. 1.5 out of stars.
5 stars. That's the best review I've heard yet.
Sorry, I should probably be saying it like I'm Miles O'Brien from Next Gen. Well, a bad remake. This film travels a little bit in the potato.
Wow. Okay.
Dilithium crystals.
Save it for St. Patrick's Day. Okay. This is from Stephen M, who did not care for this movie. He says, a hot mess, pure garbage.
Stephen Miller?
What? Stephen? Oh
Stephen
God,
Miller?
I hope not. Stephen Mnuchin. That's who it is. Even worse. A hot mess, pure garbage. I'm guessing the goal was to create a movie so bad that people would prefer COVID-19 than acknowledge the existence of this film. 0.5 star.
Wow.
Ooh.
Izzy,
Well, when I interview Jason Blum, I'll ask him.
Izzy, the COVID-19, are you a fan?
Well, I mean, the way that's worded almost sounds like he's a COVID denier, so he's gonna get 1 star from me.
Yeah, that does sound weird. Well, I mean, we did say it was Stephen Miller or Stephen Mnuchin, so that tracks.
Steve, you need to go keep your other Steves in check.
Yeah, Steve.
All right, I'll get on that. I'll tell him at the
That's
meeting.
the law of the Steves.
Does that mean I get to go cheer up Brendan Fraser?
If
Well-
you do, let me know.
Okay.
Oh, I get to hang out with the... Never mind. I get to hang out with Nathan Lane. Woohoo!
Yeah, there you go.
So,
On a boat.
my review is from Isaiah H.
Oh, thank God it's not Isaiah W.
Right. I picked this because it's brevity for this one, and the Isaiah H writes, and I'm gonna say this the way I think it has to be said. Actually, dog shit. Please don't watch. 0.5 out of stars.
Literal dog shit. There you go.
You know what? That review is dog shit. 1 out of 5 stars.
I gave more stars than he gave the movie.
Well, he took the time to, write up the review, so I gotta give him that star. And he didn't try and deny COVID.
It's true. That's bonus points right there, not denying COVID. You should always get a star for that. Steve, what do you got?
So 3-star minimum for wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Right?
I have one from Space P, obviously Space Panda.
Okay.
I thought it was Space Pants. Space Pants.
It was entertaining, but the story was horrible. The movie is not very terrifying or even thrilling. It was a little interesting, and that is what kept me watching, but story sucked hard. 2.5 out of stars.
All over the place.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean...
maybe the Space P stands for Space Psychosis.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to match his rating for the movie with his rating in there. It's going to be 2.5 stars because, I mean, he's just all over the place, dude. Sober up and watch it again.
All right, I've got one more here, and I'm gonna read it like I presume this person sounds. This is from Demetrius W. Gives it 4 stars. And I know the name is gonna sound weird with the accent, but you'll understand when you hear the review. The movie was good. Certain scenes should have been deleted though, like the bisexual scenes. Didn't like them scenes one bit. Other than that, the movie is good. Good acting, thumbs up emoji, in quotes, I recommend to watch. 4 out of stars.
Bisexual scenes? Dude, he was straight up gay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he meant like the scenes where I'm putting myself in the mind of Demetrius W. The scenes where JD is with women and Brax is with guys. I guess that's what he thinks is bisexual.
I think he's referring to scenes where men and women were on screen at the same time.
I didn't much care for them.
Demetrius gets 0 stars because I know that guy's not wearing a fucking mask.
He's definitely a COVID denier. Come on.
Well, my last one comes from Edward G.
Robinson.
Possibly Robinson.
Yeah.
This movie is the best, see? I hope there will be another sequel to this. I think it's interesting that the Edward G here wrote that the movie's the best, and he hopes there will be another sequel to this. Is there a sequel to this that we don't know about? Small Screen Shameful? I'm just asking.
Wait, Steve, confirm or deny, is Seven in Heaven a sequel to this?
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
By the way, Seven in Heaven, oh my god, coming soon. Steve, you got one more review for us, buddy?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, well, there you go. Those are the reviews. That's Fantasy Island. Nathan?
Mm-hmm.
What you watching, bud?
What I've been watching, bud, is I watched Standalone, and it has Charles Durning in it, who plays a former World War II veteran who he just has to clean up his neighborhood because his family and his friends have come under attack by an unruly gang of drug cartel gangsters.
Perfect. Standalone on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Steve and Izzy, what you watching, buds?
Oh yeah, we're watching Star Trek Voyager. We're on to season 2 now. Into that, we decided beginning of quarantine we were going to get caught up on the 80s and 90s Star Treks because why not? And it's been very rewarding.
Yeah, they're actually a lot better than I expected.
Steve was not looking forward to this. He was like, "Well, this will entertain my wife for a while."
Yeah,
I heard the first season of Next Generation's a real dog.
It kind of is, but then
they're worse.
Yeah, it figures out what they want their characters to be, and then the next 6 seasons, it's pretty good. There's occasional episodes where you're like, what was the point? But,
or there's a couple of them where it's like, climate has changed.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine's pretty good.
Deep Space Nine is great.
A little darker, a little grittier, but
more character focused.
Yeah. And then Voyager, like I said, we're a season and a half in, and
yeah.
Still no 7 of 9. God damn it! So they got to get on that.
I don't think she comes until like season 5 of 7.
What I've been watching.
Wait, Brendan. Sorry. I was going to mention another movie I saw on your recommendation, if that's okay. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
You recommended that I watch a 1983 movie called Turkey Shoot.
Yes,
starring Steve Railsbeck
you watched
and
without
Olivia
me.
Hussey. Yeah, I did. Babe, you should check it out because if you like manhunting movies, which I know everybody does, whether it's Running Man
Why
or
did
The
you
Hunt
think I wasn't
or
going to
whatever.
watch this?
Because Brendan recommended it. I never
that's
know.
true.
so.
That's
It's
true.
like 50-50 when Brendan recommends it.
That's
Either it's
true.
really good
That's
or it's
true.
like swept away.
Did you
But-
watch
I
it
did
while
not
was still asleep
recommend
upstairs with the
Swept
kitties?
Away,
I did.
motherfucker.
Oh, you absolutely recommend it. You said, "Oh my god, I have to watch this movie for your podcast. Nothing else will do."
All right, continue your fucking thing.
But yeah, check it out, guys. Steve Railsbeck and Olivia Hussey. It's in the not too distant future, post-apocalyptic.
Next Sunday,
thing.
80.
They're taken into a prison, and then they're hunted for sport. But then the tables might turn, and there's a lot of dummy kills.
Ozploitation at its finest. I will recommend, ever since we did our last Airbender episode, I actually went back and started watching the series. I'm not that far into it. I'm probably like 11 episodes into the first season, but it's a lot better than the movie. And
It would have to be.
the characters are full characters, and now I'm like, now I get the angle of people watching this movie after watching this and being super angry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then when you're done with that one, there's the sequel series, Legend of Korra, who's the next Avatar in line, and yeah.
All right. Well, guys, Steve and Izzy, thanks for coming by. Do you also have a podcast?
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
We do. It's actually a good podcast called Everything
Must
I
have
Learned
just
from
started.
Movies.
Yeah.
You can find it on all the major podcatchers. We're Age of Radio. You all know about it. You hear Brendan talking about it all the time on his mini podcast. But we also talk about bad to questionable movies, and we get some nice little interviews.
Yeah, we
And-
do. Like who, Steve?
Oh, well, gee, we just talked to Janet Varney, the star of Stand Against Evil and Legend of Korra.
The voice of Korra.
We also talked to Marco Kaitis, who is Nicolas Cage's stand-in during the good years.
Wait. So we've talked to Nicolas Cage's genetic double and
Yeah.
his stand-in double?
Yes, we've talked to his actual brother, his stand-in, several directors and actors that have worked with him over the years. We're just circling that drain.
We're coming for you, Nick.
Yep.
Perfect.
Please call us. And that's at EILF Movies. That's everything I learned from movies on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Oh, babe, wait. Aren't you on social media at all?
I am. You can find me everywhere at Untidy Venus. That's a goddess who's bad at housekeeping.
And Nathan, is Montrose Monkington around for a few words?
Oh, of course. He's always around, kicking around. 1 second. Hello. It's good friend Montrose Monkington III here. And I simply must apologize to all the folks who do go to my YouTube channel, as I have not been doing a whole lot lately, but it is that time of year where things get busy. I have missed a few pay-per-view events, but I certainly do hope to make up for that in the near future. That being said, you can review my extensive catalog at Montrose Monkington TV on the YouTubes. You can also be friends with me on Facebook, the Facebook group Montrose Monkington III, Esquire, and Friends. And then finally, you can also tweet at me to say, get off your butt and make another video at Montrose III, that's the number 3, D, on the Twitter devices. Thank you. More later.
Thank you, Montrose. And also, before we forget, we should also hint at what's coming up next week.
It came out in 2020.
5 years in the making. Oops. There we go.
All right.
I think I know what it might be.
Shut up.
I might have just watched it last night.
Spoiler alert. So that's it. That's all. You can find us on everywhere. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for What Were They Thinking. Our home base is ageofradio.org. You can go to ageofradio.org/whatweretheythinking directly to find us, but there's lots of other great podcasts on there as well, including Steve and Izzy and the Home Video Hustle and many, many more. And of course, we're on Patreon, patreon.com/WWTT Podcast. We're on TeePublic, Redbubble, all that stuff. Just search for us. You will find us. Now, again, I just want to thank Steve and Izzy for coming by.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for
thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming to Fantasy Island. And now, Nathan, I guess I just have a few questions, maybe?
All right, well, I'm a Blumhouse fan and a genre aficionado, so fire away.
Okay. Okay, well, in a movie in which the last twist makes you question the rest of the movie because some of it now doesn't really make any sense.
Blumhouse.
In a movie in which, I mean, they took a TV show and completely changed it and made a weird character disappear and then weirdly reintroduced him at the end as Tattoo.
Blumhouse.
And in a movie in which, I mean, they didn't cast Antonio Banderas, like Steve said, or Nicolas Cage as Mr. Rourke.
Yeah.
Blumhouse.
I guess I just have to ask you.
Blumhouse?
Blumhouse.
Get that money.
Did you ever get the feeling that the truth is less revealing than a downright lie? And did you think your head was hip to certain things it's not equipped to qualify? All day long, the sky is blue and everyone agrees with you in Shangri-La. Every day's a perfect day and you can go your own sweet way in Shangri-La. In Shangri-La, in Shangri-La, in Shangri-La, in Shangri-La. You can be whoever you are in Shangri-La. Investment with a good return provides the means through which we earn our daily bread. Insisting on an equal cut, some people even bust a gut to stay ahead. All day long the sky is blue and no one has a lot to do in Shangri-La.
well, dude, but you say, staying inside and helping keep that spread down. I was actually watching a movie called, Strong Alone? What was it again? You'd think I came up with the idea for this particular.
Hey, we should do this segment on the
job.
show, Brendan. It'll be
Yeah.
great.
Nah, actually,
It's kind of like making your own new rating system, and then
Steve,
I'm in
Steve.
between them.
Lay this one on me. You might know this one. Charles Durning as a war hero, and he defends his neighborhood.
Patriot Games.
No.
This is
Give me
hilarious.
1 second to get this up here. No, I know.
Pelican Brief.
I had it and I forgot it's on a different IMDb, on a different computer because I was
Miss Daisy.
Amelie.
No.
Amadeus.
Anomaly.
If you can imagine Charles Durning as like a kick-ass action hero,
Birth of a Nation.
sort of.
This is the best segment ever.
This is all gonna get left out. It's not gonna be because this isn't gonna be a Patreon exclusive.
No, this is exactly what I want from this segment. I want this.
This is exactly what you
Oh,
want.
shit.
You
What
got
am I
a bunch
watching?
of people at home screaming, "God damn it! It's
Just
overkill,"
get to the
or, whatever.
goddamn movie.
Oh shit! What am I watching again?
He
Fuck.
asked you what you were watching, bud, and you didn't.